Hey everyone, it's Monday, so it's Model Showcase Monday. Today I'm going to show you some more Purifiers, this time painted up entirely with the new Citadel paint range. As I told you guys when I did the old one, I unfortunately did the last Purifier tutorial just before Citadel changed its paint range, so I decided to do a new one encompassing the new range, as well as trying to do a few different techniques so that I can incorporate as many of the new paints as possible. The ones I really wanted to include are the new dry paints, so I was able to include two of them, being Necron Compound and as well as the white dry brush paint. So the big difference between these ones and the last tutorial was I got a couple comments when I posted my video on some forums stating, first of all, that the other granites looked a little bit too pristine. They said they were too clean and they looked like they were brand new. So in this one I tried to do a little bit more dirty of an appearance on the metallics as well as the armor, so the whites and the metallics. So that gives them a little bit more like they're more experienced soldiers, and yeah, they look a little bit more realistic, as well as I did some basings. It's very quick basing, but that's what I think my basing scheme will be for this army. So just some dirt and some grass. So I'll go through the guys a little bit one by one, and then show you a little bit of a comparison between the old range and the new range to show you if there's any major differences. I don't see actually many. This range actually tends to be very close to the old one. So I'll zoom in here. So first I have, so the one on the left has the Demon Hammer, and the one on the right is a psycannon. I'll just turn them around. So they look pretty nice. As you can see, there's a little bit darker of his helmet as well as his armor. Has a little more dirty of an appearance, as you can see here, and on the parts it's just a little bit, it's a more worn of a look as opposed to the old one, which was very pristine. Next we have a psycannon. Let's turn around here. Looks pretty cool. You might notice a little bit of mold lines down the center of their helmets. I tried to remove them as best as I can. This particular batch just had pretty bad mold lines I found on the helmets, and the dry brushing technique that I used on the helmets actually brought out the mold lines a little bit. So, but in the end I think they turned out okay. So the next two, I'll just zoom out a little bit so you can see his halberd. So here will be the leader of the squad, the Justicar of the Flame, if you will. I used a slightly different technique on his cloak, and yeah, I think it turned out okay. I did the same light to dark fade, top to bottom, as we did on the other batch. I know some of you requested that maybe I do edge highlighting. I tried the edge highlighting on a sample one. I just didn't like the overall look. I know some people really like it. I just didn't think it turned out really well. Unless you're doing the double fade, I found, then it turns out really nicely. I just personal preference. I just didn't include it then on these guys. And here he is from behind. Oops, put it back. And yeah, I think he turned out pretty cool. I had to, because I made these bases very thick, I actually had to pin them to the bases, but it wasn't too big of an issue. And finally, so there's one more psycannon guy, as well as one more force halberd guy. Let's turn the second psycannon guy around. As you can see, I think they turned out pretty sweet. I'm very happy with them, given the amount of time I used. I used the same gradient on this one, so I'll just turn that around, just show you guys the back of him, and the side. So, pretty cool. Yep, and that's the squad. So the more I use this new Citadel paint range, I like it even more. I don't think there's actually a decrease in quality from the last one. And I know some people found the layer paints to be very thin. I, for one, have not found that whatsoever. I really like the new layer paints. I like pretty much the entire range. I don't think I'm going to use much of the textures, but overall I actually really like the range and I have no problems with it. So I'll just, for a quick comparison, I'll show you the models from the last range just to compare if there's a big difference in colors. I'll start with the leader. So I'll move those aside. So here is the leader that I painted up for last tutorial, which, as you can see, he's just a little shorter, obviously, because he's not standing on a base. I'll zoom in here. So first, just to compare halberd colors, if you notice, they're pretty close. The new color range is slightly darker than the old ones, other than the whites, obviously. So you'll notice that the gradient is a little bit darker in color for all the combinations. Other things you'll notice, the new Abaddon black tends to be a little bit shinier than the old Chaos black for some reason I found. That's not too major of a point. The new light brown is almost identical to the old bleached bone, so no real difference there. Same with the Agrex Earthshade is very similar to Devlin Mud, and yeah, the whites are very close, as well as the golds. Orc Gold is very close to the Burnished Gold. I do actually really like the new middle gold color, which I believe is Balthazar Gold, I believe. It's a very reddish gold, and it's really warm in color. And actually, I like it a lot. It really does warm up all the gold areas on the model, and yeah, it gives it a really nice look. What other ones should I compare? So I'll move those two aside, and just here are the two different. Oop, just fade it out. There we go. So here are the two different psycannon guys. So the first one, as you can see, the major difference in the paint scheme. These guys are on the right are the new guys. They're much, as I said, they're much dirtier and grittier than the old ones, who look very pristine. So on these guys, I use mainly an airbrush technique. On these ones, I use mostly a dry brush technique. So that's why a very big difference in color. Yeah, and there's a slight difference in the silvers. I found the new silvers to be slightly darker than the old ones, but I think it's a very close match, to the point where I don't think there'll be that big of a difference for this particular army from the old paint scheme to the new one. Most of the other armies out there I know will have an issue, but I don't think this is going to be one of them. So I guess that's it for my miniature showcase, and expect a tutorial later in the week on 40K Friday is what I'm going to be calling it, and I'll be showing you exactly how I painted these guys up, and hopefully you enjoy my painting tutorial on the Purifiers using the new Citadel paint range. So until next time, this is Jay saying happy painting, everyone.